In your Norwich game preview, can you please dedicate 2 minutes to Bournemouth and Southampton? We Chelsea fans want to express our gratitude. Yes, guys, Keron Valir. What a man. I mean, I might not dedicate 2 minutes to it because this is the Norwich match preview, but thank you to Bournemouth for the second half display against Leicester, and thank you to Southampton for the 96th minute equaliser against Manchester United. And somehow, after the worst performance of the season, we are still sat in third place in the Premier League table. I woke up this morning and I had no doubts in my mind that it was going to be a Manchester United win. Chelsea would be down to fourth, just precariously 1 point ahead of Leicester City. But no, somehow the footballing gods have shone a ray of light on Chelsea Football Club, and we go into a game which is arguably the most perfect fixture that could have possibly been in the entire Premier League calendar. However, we won't just stop there. Thank you, Bournemouth. Thank you, Southampton. If you're one of the fans of one of those clubs watching this video, great news. Subscribe. Also, just because, it's George Benson football channel, and I'd love to get as many of you here as possible. Welcome back to another video. It's Norwich at home at 3:15 in the flipping morning again. Like, why are Chelsea just lucking out in terms of these late fixtures? It's not really lucking out, it's just annoying. Got to set my alarm for 3 in the morning again. This game, it's like, if you look at all of the other games so far this season, in all of the other competitions, what this game boils down to is the biggest game of the season. I know I say this in every flipping match preview, with Liverpool away and our defence, with Wolves at home and how good they've been this season, this is the game that Chelsea have to get 3 points. Anything less than 3 points is a travesty. It's a disaster against a team that are already relegated. Since the Premier League restart, we have seen Norwich's weaknesses exposed. They're leaking goals now, left, right and centre. Flipping Michail Antonio goes to Carrow Road and scores 4. If you remember this from earlier in the season,
cross as well into Abraham!
It was a brilliant win away at Norwich. It was the first goals in the Premier League for Tammy Abraham. And now that they're relegated, there's no excuses. I mean, we're Chelsea Football Club. We have to be winning against relegated teams at home. And the good news is that playing earlier puts the pressure on both Leicester and Manchester United for their games coming up. The other good news is that we've got United in the FA Cup semi-final this weekend, and we get a bit of extra rest going into that Cup semi at Wembley. So, Chelsea, how do we beat Norwich? Well, the first thing that we really need to focus on is not getting overwhelmed by this defeat. I think the way that Super Frank has held the press conferences, both after the game against Sheffield United and his pre-match press conference here for the game against Norwich, what we've done is we've tried to just put the game to bed, because when the matches are coming through thick and fast like they are, with a game every 2 or 3 days, you cannot just sit there and berate the players for what was a poor performance. The way that Frank has come out and talked about this is, we were beaten by a very good team, they wanted it more than we do, and it's time to really sit down in that dressing room and say, this wasn't good enough today, but it has to be good enough next time. And I think that in terms of man management, that's a really good thing from Frank, to not really annihilate the players in the press, because there's still a job to be done. And even now, after these results from both Leicester and United, the game is in our hands. And this one against Norwich, there is something that's bothering me. There's a little caveat that I'm a bit worried about. You remember that guy at the start of the season that everyone was talking about? I probably even said at some point we should have signed the geezer because he just couldn't stop scoring. That man from Finland, the Viking, Teemu Pukki. He hasn't scored a goal in 6 months or something daft. Of course, he's going to come to Chelsea and he is going to play I don't know, he's going to play like Cristiano Ronaldo. We have to be prepared for that. So, the Chelsea defence that is going to stop the resurgence of already relegated Teemu Pukki is as follows. Starting off in goal, it's the number 1. It's Kepa. I've watched it back again against Sheffield United, and I mentioned in the 6 Things We Learnt video that I think he needs to be doing better with his wrists. He needs to be parrying that ball away. But other than that, there wasn't really anything else that Kepa could have done to avoid any of the other goals. So, going to keep backing Kepa. I've seen some links. I've seen you guys have been hitting me up on social media saying Chelsea are linked with Oblak and we want to send Kepa and a little bit of dollar in order to get Oblak's signature. Now, as much as I want to back Kepa, that's something that does sound quite enticing. However, there's still matches to be played, there's still Champions League football to secure, and an FA Cup to win, and a Champions League to win, of course. Can't forget that one against Bayern. Kepa starts in goal. And the one thing that I found very interesting about Frank Lampard's press conference is that he said that there was nothing really new about injury news. Christensen had a knock, and that's why he came off at half-time. I was under the impression that the reason Christensen came off was because of a poor defensive performance. Apparently it was an injury, but Frank has come out and said that Christensen will be back in the squad for this game against Norwich. Tomori, I'm still unsure if the geezer's going to be fit or not, so in an ideal world, I'd like to see Tomori alongside Zuma, as you can see on the screen, but realistically, I think it will be an unchanged back four. There is potential that with games against Liverpool and Wolves, where Chelsea might need to be, well, they will need to be far more astute defensively, there is the potential that we practice with a three at the back for this game against Norwich, but with the nature of the game, I don't think it would benefit Chelsea to go for that kind of formation for this one, because I think the game is there for us to go and win playing with a back four. So as you can see on the screen, we've got Azpilicueta left back, Reece James right back. This could be a game where Chelsea get a lot of chances, and I think that Reece's Reece's chance creation on the right-hand side could be key for Chelsea in this one, and it gives him the opportunity to maybe even not only get himself a goal, but maybe a couple of assists as well. Reece James is a key player for me in this one, moving in to a midfield three. Now, Mateo Kovacic. We seriously miss Mateo Kovacic's presence in that game against Sheffield United. Bearing all is well, hopefully, we've heard from Frank that N'Golo Kante will be out for this one. There is a chance he could start the game against United in the FA Cup at the weekend. Mateo Kovacic, and I've gone with two number 8s. I'm going with Ruben and Mason Mount. I was disappointed with Mason in the first half against Sheffield United. I think as performances go this season, he got kind of lost in the game. There wasn't really anyone trying to pick him out with passes. He wasn't getting on the ball well enough and distributing when he did have it. So this is a big game for Mason Mount to actually bounce back. And I've also gone with Ruben Loftus-Cheek because I think that Frank Lampard will go with Ross Barkley in the game against Manchester United. And it's a good opportunity. Even though Norwich is still a good side, there's been times this season where they've been very unlucky with results, but it's just the nature of the beast. Maybe a bit of an experience from the manager. Tactically, it was a little bit of a struggle for them, but they're still a very good team. And I think this kind of match for Ruben is a perfect opportunity. We saw him get involved a lot more during the game against Crystal Palace. He got that lovely little dinked assist for Tammy Abraham, and I think this could be the perfect opportunity for Ruben to get some more minutes, to get a start, and to really start getting a feel for life back in a Chelsea shirt. So that's my midfield three. Moving in, we've got a couple of changes to the attack. Tammy Abraham, he wasn't good against Sheffield United. It was very underwhelming from Tammy, but this is the perfect game. He scored 2 against Norwich earlier in the season. This is the perfect game for Tammy to get a goal to build his confidence between now and the end of the season. When you look at the fixtures, no disrespect to our opponents today, but Norwich are definitely the weakest side of all of the teams we've got left to face. We've got Liverpool, Wolves, United, potentially a cup final against either City or Arsenal, and bloody Bayern Munich, which is actually giving me sleepless nights in the old bed of Rooney behind me, but we're not going to worry about that one now. This is the opportunity. We've seen the issues with Tammy so far is that when he does make a mistake, he gets very frustrated with himself, and the way that he channels that energy hasn't necessarily been to punish teams as a result of his frustration. So this game against Norwich, perfect opportunity for Tammy to start. We've obviously got the American wizard Christian Pulisic on the left-hand side. The man's been the best player since the restart. And again, this could be another game for him to continue building his confidence. And I've rested Willian. I thought he looked very leggy against Sheffield United. The one thing I've said throughout the whole restart since the Premier League began is that Willian has looked like he's got boundless energy. He's been scoring goals from the penalty spot, he scored a free kick, but Willian looked super tired in that game against Sheffield United. And in terms of building confidence, we mentioned Ruben, building confidence for him. We mentioned Tammy, building confidence for him. This is the perfect game for Callum Hudson-Odoi to get a Premier League start to build his confidence further. Everybody between now and the end of this season, in all competitions, is going to be useful for Chelsea. We're going to need to rely on all of our different players. Games are still coming through thick and fast, and I think this is the perfect time to give Willian a rest because he has been in good form. If we need him, hopefully we don't. I mean, the way I'm seeing this game, I know that the title of my previews is always how we're going to beat, and I always pick the team that I think is destined to win a match against our opposition. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a very good player. A lot of people have wrote him off on social media, and I kind of hate this cancel culture that people have, be it on football Twitter with everyone with the flipping players as their avatars or whatever it may be. Callum Hudson-Odoi gets a lot of stick, and I feel as though it's because of the wages, it's because of the demands, the flirting with Bayern. And then since he's come back from the injury, we've not seen him firing on all cylinders. We've not seen him all guns blazing. But this is a perfect game for him to recreate that connection with Reece James on the right-hand side. I think that could be a fruitful one for Chelsea going forward. I also think it's the perfect opportunity for Callum to really show what he can do. There's going to be a huge onus on Chelsea to get the win in this one. And I think that with this team, there are enough players in there that are trying to prove a point in order to get starts in cup semi-finals, cup finals, Champions League games against Bayern. And I think that going with these players who don't necessarily start all the matches since the restart, not only does it allow us to reserve the energy of a Ross Barkley, of a Willian, Olivier Giroud, but it also gives these players the opportunity to really stake a claim and put themselves in the front running for the end of the season and in Frank Lampard's plans for next season. By the way, I didn't mention it in the 6 things we learned, Hakim Ziyech is in training. That is an absolute delight. Let me know what you guys think of this starting 11 on your screen right now in the comments down below. There's absolutely nothing that I can say in this video other than Chelsea have to flipping win this game. It isn't negotiable. We cannot justify any result against Norwich that isn't 3 points. I don't care if it's 1-0 with an own goal. I don't care if it's 5-4. I will sit here and slate the defence if I need to in the 6 things we learned after the game. But 3 points is absolutely essential. We have been gifted 3rd place after the worst weekend we've had in the entire season, thanks to Leicester and Manchester United slipping up. There is no way, with everything still in our hands, that we can allow anything to slip. This is a must-win game. I don't want to underestimate Norwich, but they are flipping relegated. They've got nothing to play for other than pride. Chelsea are not only playing for pride and to rejuvenate the faith that we've had this season in Frank that might have been lost a little bit after that defeat to Sheffield United. I'm still very firmly on the boat of what Frank's saying of we've got to let that one go. Sometimes you just got to admit you were beaten by a team that wanted it more on the day. Sheffield United are top class. Norwich this season, we've seen so many frailties. This is an opportunity for Chelsea to bag some goals, and we must get 3 points. I'm going to keep repeating this for flipping ages. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you're not yet subscribed to the George Benson Football channel, I make videos like this one on the match morning of every single game. And I also do a series afterwards called 6 Things That We Learned, where we break it down, we review things, green boxes, yellow boxes, red boxes, and even a blue box. And now a brown one, if we're really But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video later on this evening. I'll catch you all later. Come on, you Blues.